This episode is brought to you by Bumble, who says Valentine's Day is just for couples. Just because you're not in a relationship doesn't mean you can't get out there and live your best love life. That's where Bumble comes in. This February 14th, you can flip the script and give those relationshippers a friendly dose of FOMO. Say no to staying in this Valentine's Day and yes to more. More dates, more first kisses, more gossip for the group chat girlies. Do Valentine's your way. Date now on Bumble.
As a female musician, you're told not to write about motherhood.
Really?
Absolutely.
Why? What's the story behind that?
Oh, because it's like extremely uncool.
Oh, it doesn't go in the vibe.
Yeah, a man can get away with kind of saying that he's a dad, but a woman cannot. If you think about it, what songs about motherhood do you know?
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the lovely Brie Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
We have such a good one for you today, but you may not recognize her name, but I guarantee you're going to recognize this.
I did the cooking and the cleaning and the groceries and the laundry, fed the cat and the dog, and someone stole my coffee. Got a gift for your mother that you probably won't like. Paid a bill, wiped her butt, broke up a couple fights. Then I just about lost my mind because we both took the kids to the park. And someone said to you, you are such a good dad. You are such a good dad.
I love that song. It speaks to me.
Like her little gremlin voice, like it's what first really made me notice Farideh, and she is such an amazing person, and we really dig into how she started singing about motherhood, especially funny songs about motherhood. She's a musician and comedian, best known for her comedic songs about motherhood and the mental load. She's recently become quite the internet sensation with her viral song "You're Such a Good Dad" and has been featured on the Today Show. Farideh uses her music to help moms feel seen, and she resides in Canada with her family. So we hope you enjoy our interview with Farideh.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
Welcome, Farideh, to our podcast. We are so excited to have you here.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Let's chat.
Yes, let's chat. I am really curious about your story because you have these great videos. The Make a List video, oh my gosh, so great. And the voice you do, that like it just got me. It got me all the places, as well as just your singing ability and your music style and the ability. I've always seen it as a magic act when people can make up a song and play it and then sing along to it like magic, always. So it's magic. So it really fascinates me. So let's start out. You live in Canada.
I live in Saskatchewan, Canada, which if people know where Vancouver and Toronto is, it's like in the middle. So it's like truly in the middle of nowhere.
Is that like city? Is it? I've never really don't know much about
It's
Saskatchewan.
like above Montana and North Dakota. And we have like similar,
Okay.
if you know what Montana and South and North Dakota are like, that's kind of like what it's like here.
Okay. And have you lived there your whole life?
Yeah, pretty much. I traveled. I never thought I'd live here, but my mom lives here. And when you have children, for me, I have a really supportive parent. So I was like, we're never leaving my mother because we need childcare.
That's a smart thing to do. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think me leaving my parents was the best idea on my
Fair
part,
enough.
even though they're like an hour and a half away. So how did you get started in music?
Well, so my dad was a musician, so I grew up like coming out the womb being like, I'm a singer, I'm gonna be a superstar. So I like pursued music my whole life. And my dad took me on the road as a kid, like just like very much like a local kind of group. And so I started making albums and writing songs from a pretty young age. And I had achieved a pretty like good, like not like, I'm not Drake of Canada, but I had a group that was part of an all-girl group called Rosie and the Riveters, and it was like about 9 years we were in that did that band. I done like solo stuff and then I started that band and then we did pretty well. Like we traveled the world, you know, we made it on US folk charts. It's hard to be an independent musician. Like we were self-managed, self-taught. So that level of success is pretty good. But I was a mom and I became a mom while I was in the band. And actually it's interesting. Like I always thought, I kept thinking I'm going to give up music when I'm 23. I'm going to give up music when I'm 27. I'm going to give up music when I have a kid. It's like the older I got and after becoming a mom is like when more of my career took off. And so I couldn't leave. I just felt like I wasn't ready to leave my music career just because I was a mom. Because sometimes that's kind of, I'm not sure what it's like in other careers, but like your life is, I definitely feel it. Like there's ideas like that your life is over once you become a mom.
Yep, it's like that in other careers too.
Yeah, but I was like, I am unwilling. So then I like took an infant on the road with me, which you can imagine is a horrible idea.
It would be hard.
Yeah. Just like, what's horrible? Like those first years are hard. And then let's put yourself like on the road with no support. And so I did that. And then, you know, as she got a little older, I didn't take her on the road because she was a little too old. And then I kind of realized like, hey, I'm approaching 40. I'm on the road 100 days a year. I'm like, this is like a fourth of my kid's life.
Yeah.
Like I just can't do this. Like I just couldn't see a life for myself as a musician. It was too hard. It was too hard and it was too hard. I was like, I'd pay any price, but not this high. It's like the cost is too high. It's like having two dreams in one. Like I have a dream of a career and I have a dream of being a mom, but like the other one is like, I'm a mom and this is the bigger dream of the two. So I walked away thinking like that my music career is over. I do not know what I'm going to do. This is just at the height of my abilities. I'm like having to be like Sia. Do you know what I mean? Like Sia, like she didn't make it until she covered her face because she was 32. Do you know what I mean? Like,
That is a true fact. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's funny.
Take that, patriarchy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was just no future for me. And right at the time I decided to leave this group that I had dedicated almost 10 years of my life to, pandemic happened. So I was like staying at home parent. What, you know, like actually truly my greatest fear. I was always afraid of becoming a stay-at-home parent because I knew psychologically it's so difficult.
Oh, definitely. During the pandemic, were your bandmates then who you just left, but were they thrust into the staying at home role as well? Or
They didn't have children. So they were still thrust into like their own fear and their own stuff. But like when you break up with a band, you've just destroyed their dreams too. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, okay, I think they understood. But you know, it was a really challenging time. And then of course they were dealing with their own stuff. But yeah, so then the only thing I wanted to do was create content. I was like, this seems like fun. And then, you know what? It's surprising how long it took me to decide to write funny songs for the internet. Like it took me 2 years. And then like once I did it, I was like, oh, that's so obvious.
What were you creating before you decided to write funny songs?
I was trying to tell, like, I knew that I had a talent to entertain. Like, I mean, that's like my life is like performing. It's for making people laugh, maybe making people cry. I was like, maybe I will do that online. Maybe that's how I could do this. Like maybe, because I still have that skill. And so let's try that. And it was like going okay, but not great. Like I told stories, I made funny content, like the funny content did better. And then after like 2 years of creating content, I was like, okay, well, it's not going great. Like maybe I'm just not that good. And funny content's doing well. Like maybe I need to learn about comedy. That's what I did with music. I learned about music. So like, let's go take some classes. So I like learned a lot more about comedy. And then I realized in the classes that like people who do well at comedy, they bring everything that they can do. If they're good actors, they do acting. If they're, you know, like they don't leave parts of themselves at the door. And because I had been like so done with music, I like really left it at the door. And so like then, and as a female musician, you're told not to write about motherhood.
Really?
Absolutely.
Why? What's the story behind that?
Oh, because it's like extremely uncool.
Oh, God. It doesn't go in the vibe.
Yeah, a man can get away with kind of saying that he's a dad, but a woman cannot. If you think about it, what songs about motherhood do you know?
Yeah,
I don't, but I can automatically pick up Andy Grammer's song. He wrote about fatherhood.
You are such a good dad. Totally. I have that one on motherhood.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in my class, they were like, we want you to write about motherhood. And I was like, no. I'm not doing the cardinal role of writing. You don't do that. And so once I did do it, I was like, oh my goodness, I have so much to say. Here's 7 years of my life that I have completely not reviewed, not mined for the gems. That's what musicians do. They mine their experiences to reflect to other people.
Yeah.
And so once I started doing it, it was like, oh, it's very obvious. I should have been like writing about motherhood. I should have been like combining comedy with music. And then once I wrote, You Are Such a Good Dad. I did not think it was very good. I shared it online. It went off. And I was like, okay, so we need to like just write more songs. We just need to keep writing more songs. So the thing about my songs is that they're not all about my own life. I feel like it's not just about me, it's about everybody's experience. So I like ask my Instagram followers like what I should write about and what's annoying them. And I often like will be like stuck on a song and I'll ask my followers, you know, what's the most annoying part about laundry to you? And then I'll like, it'll change how I write the song, because as a musician who was like more not in the comedy frame, I wrote about my personal experiences, but like now I'm here to serve, right? I think mothers are just like, we're not represented in music. We're not represented in movies. We're not in books. So all I want to do is represent the lives of people who are like invisible. There's a reason why that labor is invisible. Mothers in general are invisible. And it's not, I don't like, some of it's mine, but some of it is also like about my friends or their lives.
Yeah, you're getting the collective of motherhood and womanhood together there.
Exactly.
I'm interested in hearing the story behind You're Such a Good Dad, and we'll get into it right after this. I've been looking for simple ways to form healthy habits and get the nutrients my body needs, even on really busy mornings. And lately, I've been feeling pretty stressed and sluggish. So that's why I decided to give AG1 a try. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre and probiotics, and more, but it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's just one scoop mixed in water once a day, every day. And it makes me feel strong and energized and ready to face the day, in addition to my cup of coffee. And that is why we've partnered with AG1. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/NGM. That's drinkag1.com/NGM. Check it out.
This message is sponsored by EveryPlate. Anyone who knows me knows there are two things that happen with me. I'm always trying to save money and I am always running behind. It's 7:58 and I'm on my way out the door to an 8 a.m. meeting. But that is why we partnered with EveryPlate. EveryPlate has helped me save time with less trips to the grocery store and meals ready in 6 simple steps. I absolutely love how they plan delicious meals and send me the pre-portioned ingredients right to my door. So I can spend less time planning, shopping, and cooking, and all while saving big bucks.
I, too, have better things to worry about, Brie, than what's for dinner. EveryPlate provides plenty of delicious variety. I'm talking so yummy, like 26 tasty and affordable recipes that start as little as $1.49 a meal, and new recipes every week. This week, we're trying the bacon and Gouda smothered chicken. Like, I'm salivating. I'm salivating already. You know me and food. And I really love that I can customize my recipes by swapping proteins and sides or even adding a protein to a veggie dish.
Hey, Joanne, do you got a buck?
Yeah.
Well, then you can get steak for life. It seems unbelievable to me, but you can add a 10-ounce ranch steak to your weekly order for just $1 a box with your active subscription.
Get a meal starting at just $1.49 plus $1 steaks for life by going to everyplate.com/podcast and entering code 49NGM. Subscription must be active to qualify and redeem $1 steak. You heard that right. Get a meal starting at just $1.49 plus $1 steaks for life by going to everyplate.com/podcast and entering code 49NGM. Subscription must be active to qualify and redeem that $1 steak. You said that your first really foray into this singing about motherhood and making it comedic was You're Such a Good Dad. How did that song come into being?
You know, people in my comedy class are like, what's the hardest part about being a mom? And I was like, the hardest part about being a mom is watching everybody praise your husband for pushing a stroller. And it's not like he's he is pushing a stroller. He's not like saving the life of a human being.
He's not doing brain surgery. No.
It's the bare minimum. And yet strangers are
here's the expectations for a mom. Do you see a difference?
Yeah. It's really funny. Like my husband always says that too about doing the bare minimum. And he actually comes to me like jokingly for praise. He's like, honey, I did the bare minimum. Thank me.
I could see him with that face too.
Yes.
And my husband understood it too. He would be like, he's like, I am a god now. He just like, he had our baby and he like strapped it to, his stomach and he went for a walk in our community. Like he was just like, people are just
love me.
shocking to me. I mean, in some ways, it's a beautiful thing because a man without a child is also considered a predator, right? Like, I'd be like, look at this
True.
beautiful baby. He's like, I can't look at a baby. What are you talking about? But now he has like a wedding ring, and now he has a child, and he can go to parks, and he can go to. And so I can understand like that's beautiful and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's where that idea. I wanted to like paint the picture of all the things a mother does in the day, and then the very bare minimum a man does, and then his praise for it.
And I just have to say, I love the part too about like, and then your mother came over and she was like, you're such a good dad. How many of us have wanted to strangle our mother-in-law when our spouse did the bare minimum? And they were like, oh God, you're so fantastic. And you're like, really? Now I know where the standards came from. Now I know.
Oh my gosh. No, I get this from my own mom, actually. My own mom comes and praise my husband, and she's like, oh my gosh, you have such a supportive husband. And I know it's a personal thing. I totally know, but I'm like, this is what's supposed to happen. It ties back to those things where when you say like your husband is supportive, or your husband does chores around the house, or your husband actually like does stuff with the kids, like he's not just the babysitter, you get the reaction, oh, like you're so lucky. And it's supposed to be a luck thing rather than this is expected of men. Like we need to expect this
that's
as
right.
society.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it becomes hard. So you're such a good dad, and it blew up. And what did you see from that?
Well, I slowly saw my like accounts grow, and not that it like really took off in that moment. Like it did, it slowly grew over time. What I realized was like I had been looking for the clarity of what am I doing?
Yeah.
What's my next path? What was I doing? And then it was like so obvious. I was like, oh, I see. This is what I do now. And also, as a comedian, you can age in a way that like musicians aren't allowed to.
Unless they're men.
Yeah, unless you're a man, then you're allowed to do anything you want and get as old as you want, and you can say whatever you want, and it's all good.
Nobody's upset like Chris Stapleton with his like huge beard made it when he was like in his 40s. Like nobody, it's fine. Nobody was like, oh dear, way past
Yeah.
prime. You know,
Let
so
yourself go.
I was just like, this is an audience I can serve. This is a story I can tell. And also like, I know how to write songs. Like that's what I've been doing my whole life. I can do that again. And it requires like a certain kind of humility to be like, I'm going to serve others with my songs. Like it's not about serving myself and my story. So once I had that clarity, I just knew the path to take. Like no business no career is made like in one video. While it certainly made a difference, mostly it provided clarity for me about like this is my path now. And then so and one song doesn't make a body of work. Then I had to spend like the next year writing as many songs as I could to make an album, to make like a continued narrative about motherhood and what it's like.
Yeah. And so you had your album come out, right?
Yeah.
It's come out, or it's coming out? It's come
In
out.
October, yeah.
Came out in October. And tell us about it.
It's called The Mother Load, and it just explores all these things that we have about motherhood, whether it's like parenting, body image, like marital stuff, like the division of labor, kind of just like, I just wanted to like, once I put it all together, I was like, oh, this is like a narrative, like a cohesive story about what it's like parenting right now, a snapshot. And like, it's done quite well. I wasn't sure I'd put together an album. Like that's very much like a musician thing to do, not necessarily like an internet creator thing to do. But once I did it, I was like, oh, this was a wise choice just because, yeah, people can listen to a whole album and then, and it explores different genres. I tried more disco music and pop music and rap and folk, and just like I experimented a lot more than as a musician, one of the other things that you need to keep to is a cohesive genre. Generally you just don't see somebody moving around a lot because packaging wise you need to stay in a certain, but of course the packaging wise it was motherhood, so I didn't have to stay in a lane. So that was really fun, just to be like, all right, let's see what discotheque's gonna be like,
That's fun. That is really fun.
Was that one of your favorites or no?
Oh, honestly they were all my favorite.
They're all your children.
Come on, we all have a favorite kid. We just don't admit it out loud. Oh, is that just me? Or just me? I'm joking. I'm joking to my children that probably will listen to this at some point in their lives. Not now because they're teens and they're too cool, but
no, it's true. It's true. Make a list. Now, you say you take stuff collectively. Was this based on collective stuff, or was this personal experience?
Oh, no, this was a collective one. Like I'm blessed to have a partner who, like, going into motherhood and even going into the marriage, I saw the patterns out in the world. And I was like, if we get married, you are not abandoning me. I see people whose husbands are golfing on the weekends, who are playing video games at night, who are like dropping out.
I was a weekend
Mhm.
widow. Mine would spend
Yeah,
8 hours watching football at a bar.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
yeah. So like
Obviously ex.
so we have these
Yeah.
conversations, not saying that like when we had a child, of course, he had no idea how little he
Mhm.
was doing. And that's the challenge is that like, sometimes people comment on my videos like you should leave him, divorce him. And I'm like, well, firstly, that's not I would not be ever write these songs in the heat of that, like in the heat of having a new child. Like you can't write that kind of song until you're out of
Yeah.
it, until your marriage has evolved and changed. And sadly, you're
Yeah.
like having a baby, your world is on fire, your marriage is kind of falling apart. I don't know many people who's like that first
Was the
year that they're
best.
not like,
Yeah.
yes, are we gonna make it? And then you have to go on a journey together to build understanding, and not just like his understanding, mine too. Like at the end of
Mhm.
the day, you'd be like, what did you do? I was like, nothing. But it's like I actually cleaned the house 3 times and it still looks like a bomb went off. And I kept a child alive and I couldn't sleep and blah, blah, blah. And that work was also invisible to me. So like having the ability to have language, to talk about what's going on, how to build
Yeah.
understanding, that takes time. So I think it was just like, so with Make a List, like my husband is not the kind of person who he would understand that labor, like that wouldn't make sense. But that is also
Yeah.
just like I wanted to talk about how that is really
Yeah.
common. And it's also like very classic marital advice that people receive with the division.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to paint a picture as to like, number one, how I was trying to figure out how do you talk about how out of date that idea is. Yeah, then just like the little gremlin inside of me was like, I
Right.
also want to like a lot of times I feel like I'm representing feminine rage.
Exactly. That is what it was. I was like, that rage, I think that so many of us, we feel it when it's happening. Joanne and I have been talking a lot about being stressed out and frustrated lately. And like,
Mad and
yeah,
angry.
you
And,
can feel all the feelings. And it's like, stop asking me how to help. You're making it worse.
Well, it's like this outdated notion too of the honey-do
Yeah.
list. And I know a lot of older men. I used to run with one who's like, "Yeah, it's my honey-do list for the weekend." And I'm like, "Tell me about this. What is this list that you have?" It's crazy, it's outdated. It keeps the mental load squarely with us about thinking like what they have to do, but it's such a comedic way you deal with it.
Yeah, I
With
mean,
the little
it's just like,
gremlin.
and also like my gift as a songwriter is to be able to put language to feelings that we have.
Mhm.
That's and so it's the same thing here now versus a sappy love song. It's like as before, if I was like a new mom, I would feel angry, but I didn't know why.
Yeah.
Why does that feel like that isn't actually helping me? Because your first thought is like that should help me, but you're like, no, that mental load stays on my thing. I'm still
Mhm.
responsible. And it also creates a situation in which I'm your boss and I'm checking up
Mm.
on you. That's not a great dynamic for our marriage
No.
because firstly, my husband's a very like rebellious man who is like, I do my own
Mine
thing.
too.
Like, that's
Yep.
not going to go well in our marriage for me to be like, did you do this? He'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I have the same. Like my husband is very like he's a rebel as well and I am a rebel. And when you put
yeah,
two rebels together, you really have to figure out how are you going to talk to each other when you need stuff done, but
that's
you
right.
don't want to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like he does not want to be told what to do, and I have no interest in telling him what to do. But
Yeah.
obviously, we still need to figure this out. So yeah, that's where Make a List came from, and it's such a fun thing to perform because like it's just not a voice you would use as a singer songwriter, and then be like, what can I do? Or have a metal song where I scream about my rage, and
I like that.
and like that one also is just like an interesting thing to vocally do. I've been a songwriter, a musician for 20 years. I've never been like, okay, Googling like screamo vocals, like how to do.
It's so fun though. And what like a great way to like take those emotions and make it in a way that people can have fun and enjoy
Right.
it. Like I said, I think it's a magic power. Like you have a magic superpower that you can set your feelings to music and it's enjoyable to hear. Because if I tried to set my feelings to music, it would not work.
And one thing that like makes me very happy is that because I'm not in this place in my marriage and because it has this funny place to it, like behind it is not resentment, right? Like
Mhm.
I don't carry a lot of resentment. I think people can feel the lightness to the work I do
Mhm.
and then they send it to their partner or they take it to, I have a lot of therapists who are like, your song was in my therapy session today. I wanted you to know that because actually it can lead to conversations that
Yep.
can't when you're like in that throes with your partner and you're trying to get them to
Mhm.
understand and like they're just not hearing you. It is like helpful to have this like other person being like, hey, here's this piece of content that's like just poking fun, being light. It can provide like another perspective and illuminate things without the conflict.
Right. Because then it's like, it's not just you. Like, this is such a big problem that people write songs about it. Here you go.
Exactly. And it's not just our marriage, and it's not just your fault. Yeah. It's like, exactly. It's like, this is a societal pattern that we're all part of. And it is our job to disentangle this so that we're better role models for our children. Yeah. The truth is, it's like, marriages don't survive misogyny like that, or they do, but like barely, right? And that's what we're trying to untangle and clean and do better with.
100%.
Yes, exactly. I couldn't agree more. We'll be right back after a quick break. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. So we recently got our youngest a Greenlight card, and I have to tell you, it's been amazing. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that gives kids and teens an easy and fun way to gain financial literacy while also giving parents some peace of mind. Like, you can send instant money transfers, automate allowance, and even keep an eye on kids' spending with real-time notifications. For us, the best part has just been seeing how my son has felt so empowered with like a card of his own that he could spend things on. He feels more grown up and has more responsibility. And as a baby of the family, you gotta have that feeling. So join me and 6 million other parents and kids who are learning about money on Greenlight. Sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/NGM. That's greenlight.com/NGM to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/NGM.
This episode is brought to you by Bumble, who says Valentine's Day is just for couples. Just because you're not in a relationship doesn't mean you can't get out there and live your best love life. That's where Bumble comes in. This February 14th, you can flip the script and give those relationshippers a friendly dose of FOMO. Say no to staying in this Valentine's Day and yes to more. More dates, more first kisses, more gossip for the group chat girlies. Do Valentine's your way. Date now on Bumble.
What are you excited about that's coming up for you, Farideh?
Oh, well, I'm starting to do live performances with the show, like in person. And like, that is so fun because gathering a bunch of women together, a bunch of moms together to have a room where we all get to be together and have that like experience is so fun. And so that's really enjoyable. That's basically like what I'm working on right now is just, obviously I still need to make content and videos, but I really want to do more live shows because there's also like certain things you can't, there's with content online, there's certain things you can't do. Like you can't always do like a slower song or a slow burn song because like it's such a quick place where you need to hit them in 30 seconds. You can't build to a joke. And so there's new songs I can try that I like, they haven't found their place online, but they can in the live setting. And also like in a live show, I don't have to, like one of the things about me is that I'm not a comedian. I'm not a comedian first. I'm still a musician first. And so I think that like comedy, it sets up pain and then it relieves it really quickly. Whereas a musician will set up pain and let you sit in that pain because it's healing. It's healing to feel the feelings. And so in my content online, I do sometimes try and sprinkle in a part of myself that isn't just laughter, because I think if any audience can travel with me from laughter into tenderness, into grief, and back into laughter again, into rage, you know, like it's a mother, right? Because that is motherhood, right? Like we have that kind of experience. And so that's the live show too, is that I want a mom to come to my show and just be like, every part of her was seen, not just like the funny parts, not just the rage, but also the intense love, the grief that we all feel, the pain, so that they just walk away feeling like whole, like every part of them was seen. And that's bringing me joy. And also a lot of stress dreams, honestly. I
would imagine.
I have these dreams where I like just show up with nothing prepared and I'm just like, oh God.
Oh my gosh, I have stress dreams like that too.
Yeah.
My stress dream is always like I've signed up for a class in college and then it's the finals, but I forgot to go to class the entire semester. I had that all the time.
I did too. How is that a thing that multiple people have? I did not know that. Okay, so I'm going to put in a request on your locations, whatever, however you plan your live events of Phoenix, coming out to Phoenix.
Okay.
We are much
I love it.
warmer than your
We
climate.
are.
Like,
This would be a good time to come for sure.
Right now is a
oh
good
yeah,
time to
I
come.
think it's
Come in like June, stay
well,
away. Stay away
Yeah,
June to
April.
September.
April's wonderful.
And then come
Yes,
back.
anytime from like
Yeah.
now through April is fantastic.
I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah. I'll tell you, our high
Yeah,
today
you
is
can do a lot.
60, so that's pretty nice.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us, Farideh.
Oh, it was a delight.
And you bring such a smile to my face. And now I need to go and listen to your entire album. So thank you again.
Thank you.
You know, the thing that Faraday said about songs being a way to talk about challenging issues is really true.
Right?
It's a way to bring up something that you know you're not alone anymore in it because somebody wrote a song about it.
Yeah, like I love that part of like you're thinking about that. You're in couples therapy or you're having a disagreement and your spouse feels like you're telling them that they are a terrible person and you're like, listen, there are things that I need, but you're not alone in the world. It's so much so that there are a million people listening to this song on Instagram right now. There's a whole album of the stress that we deal with. I feel like as women, sometimes we get gaslit.
All the
Making it-
times we get gaslit. All the time.
I'm trying to be gentle to their fragile
Gentle.
feelings, but you know, I mean,
I'm not gentle. Men, man up. You don't have fragile. No, I'm kidding. See, there's me being gentle.
see, there you go. But I mean, it's like we get told that we're being overly sensitive or that it's not as bad as we think it is. And it's like, no, it is. People write songs about it. It is. It's a collective
And the fact
struggle.
that like most of the time when I leave my husband alone with the kids for any significant amount of time, he is stressed out.
Yeah.
Like beyond belief when I return. And it's not anything to do with, oh, men just get so stressed out. No, that is the actual feeling that we as women have dealt with every single day. And we've just kind of learned to stuff it down, don't feel the feelings, and just go on with it.
we're allowed to feel the feelings, but in private, where nobody else has to see us cry.
Yeah. It's like crying, emotional, yes, but so is anger. And men get angry all the time. I was in a field, I was at the entertainment field at the agency that I worked at, Endeavor. And it would be a frequent thing to hear like a male agent screaming from his office at his assistant and all these curse words being flung around. And he was never called emotional, even though that's what he was. He was emotional. And that's accepted. And yet it's not accepted for women to cry still 20 years later.
Right. It's just, it's a struggle. I love that there is a humorous, fun, whimsical, musical soundtrack to our experiences as a typical mom or a typical spouse, as a typical woman in a
Mhm.
family these days, whatever your family looks like. Because there are a lot of struggles that we don't talk about. And she brought up a really good point in her interview. She's like, how many songs can you think of that talk about what it's like to be a mother? And I'm like, no, you're right. No, not really any.
There's one Rachel Platten song that I think would be really good
Mhm.
as a mother, but I don't know if that's what she wrote it for. It was I'll Stand By You. No, that's Pretenders.
Oh, so are you thinking about the Pretender song or is it a different song?
No, it is song I'll Stand By You, but the lyrics I'm thinking of are the Pretender song.
Okay.
It's the Pretender song.
Yeah.
The I'll Stand By
Yeah.
You. Like that's probably not about, but it could be about.
But you know,
kids
I
too,
didn't see
would
that as
feel.
kids. Like I remember my I don't know what I'm gonna say 8th grade self, but I think I was probably in high school, like when that song came out. I remember thinking to myself, that's a perfect boyfriend. So I'm not sure.
Won't Let Nobody Hurt You. Oh yeah, that's not like but that's a woman. It was Chrissy Hynde singing it.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that's a perfect song. Like it's singing about a perfect partner to me.
See,
To me.
that's interesting.
That was me. But I
Now
had a
I-
romantic mindset. We know this. Bree thought that the Breakfast Club was going to be a thing in life.
Yeah.
I believe John Hughes. Damn it.
Yeah. There isn't really anything though about being a mother and like it's not acceptable because like the Andy Grammer song I was thinking
Oh,
of,
yeah.
it was like one of his songs is, you were born and there was glory or whatever. And it's such a sweet song, but there is nothing about a woman having a baby song. I can't think of a single one.
Yeah. I think it's just because again, there's so much to it. What I love about Faraday's music is again that she brings the stuff that we don't talk about as much.
Mm-hmm.
That like we chat about with our girlfriends, but we don't talk about in open society as much about the frustrations, especially about the double standard of like where dad's bar is down here at the bottom of my screen and mom's bar is above my head. And if I don't hit that, then I'm a crappy mom. But if you just slightly lift your toe to move over this bar, you're a fantastic dad and done a million things. That's great.
Well, I think that's the same for like women and men too, because the Barbie movie.
Oh, yeah.
The Barbie movie. And that made so many people upset because it hit on a truth that this is how our society really is. And no women watching that movie were surprised about the way Barbie was treated in the real world. That's pretty standard. But contrasting that with the way Barbie Land was, with everyone being so supportive of each other and not having to worry about being sexually hit on or anything like that, it was total sadness when Barbie went from that world to the real world. And so those kind of things, they weigh heavy. They need to be brought out and talked about more.
Yeah, for sure. It's tough. So,
Yeah.
well, that was fantastic.
Well,
So go out. You need to like go on, check out Farideh's album. It is The Motherload. It is fantastic. Check her out on Instagram. We have links to everything below. Give her some love.
Until next time, remember, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by. Are you looking for something to listen to with your whole family? Then check out 6 Minutes, produced and created by Gen Z Media. With over 200 twisty, cliffhanger-filled episodes, 6 Minutes tells the story of 11-year-old Holiday, who is pulled from the icy waters with no memory of who she is or where she came from.
3 years ago, Brinley Pasternak helped the Anders family uncover the truth about Holiday's past. Now she'll need them to help her find the truth about hers. In 6 Minutes Out of Time, the long-awaited sequel, Cyrus Anders is found unconscious near the mysterious Elixir Academy in Florida, and Brinley learns the school may have a shocking connection to her missing mother.
Dive in now and get the most downloaded family audio adventure in history. Follow 6 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and ad-free with the GZM family subscription.